Have you ever wondered if the mighty US dollar, the currency that seems to rule the financial world, could be on the verge of losing its crown? Some experts warn it's teetering on the edge, while others insist it's still secure as the backbone of global finance. Today, I'm inviting you on a journey into the often complicated and sometimes wild world of economics to discover whether the US dollar's powerful position could truly crumble, or if it's simply too strong to fail. The US dollar has held the top spot among global currencies for decades, acting as a yardstick for commerce, investment, and reserves around the world. You hear about it on the news whenever markets shift, and its value can influence everything from the cost of your morning coffee to the price of gasoline. For a very long time, the dollar's dominance felt unshakable. But is it still as unbreakable as it once was? People are increasingly questioning whether the dollar can maintain its position in light of rising competition. There's the euro, the yen, and more recently, the Chinese yuan, currencies that are flexing their muscles. Even newer digital currencies, such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, have burst onto the scene, presenting alternative ways for people to store and exchange value. Meanwhile, ongoing events like the global pandemic have tilted more of our transactions toward electronic formats, giving digital currencies even more momentum. In this discussion, we'll examine the multiple challenges facing the dollar and talk about why it could still hold on to its status. By the end, you'll have a clearer sense of how the world might look if the dollar truly does slip from the top, as well as the reasons that might stop that from happening in the first place. To understand how we got here, it helps to know a bit of history. After World War II, the United States emerged as a major political, economic, and military power. Agreements like the Bretton Woods system tied global currencies to the dollar, which was backed by gold. Even after the gold standard ended, the US dollar remained central to global trade. The US economy's strength made the dollar dominant. Countries accumulated dollar reserves to support their currencies. The US built a reputation for stable financial institutions, making the dollar appealing to investors. However, as we'll explore, challenges to this dominance have existed for a while. The euro, created in 1999, was designed to unify European nations under one currency and potentially rival the dollar's hegemony. While the euro hasn't eclipsed the dollar entirely, it did shake global markets when it arrived, and it forced many to question whether the dollar's supremacy was as certain as before. Let's start by looking at traditional competitors like the euro and the Japanese yen. The Eurozone is a massive economic bloc combining the might of countries like Germany, France, Italy, and Spain under one currency. Because of that, the euro quickly became a major player in global commerce and is held by numerous central banks as part of their foreign exchange reserves. Although political and economic differences among Eurozone members sometimes undermine confidence in the euro, it still remains one of the biggest threats to the dollar's lid. Then there's the Japanese yen, backed by one of the most technologically advanced and consistently innovative economies in the world. Japan's robust manufacturing sector, along with its significant global trade, propels the yen's status as a reliable and respected currency. Even though the yen doesn't always grab headlines the way the dollar does, it continues to be an important part of global currency reserves and an alternative in international finance. Beyond traditional rivals, countries like China and India are expanding quickly, both economically and politically. China, in particular, has caught the attention of economists who see the yuan's growing use in global trade deals. For example, several countries have signed currency swap agreements with China, enabling them to trade using the yuan without first converting to the dollar. This move subtly erodes the need for the dollar in certain transactions, placing the yuan in a position to become more widely accepted over time. India, with its immense population and rising economy, could also decide to promote the rupee on the global stage. While it hasn't made the same strong push for currency internationalization as China, India's economic rise might give it the opportunity to influence global trade in the future. Should that happen, it could join the ranks of currencies that challenge the dollar. One of the most significant developments in the world of finance over the past decade has been the rise of cryptocurrencies led by Bitcoin and Ethereum. These digital currencies are powered by blockchain technology, which allows for secure, decentralized transactions without relying on traditional banks or governments. As more people gain comfort with digital wallets and decentralized exchanges, cryptos could become a powerful alternative to national currencies. Although the crypto market is still relatively small compared to the global forex market, it's growing fast, and major corporations have begun accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment. Some large institutions even hold Bitcoin as part of their treasury. Meanwhile, the concept of decentralized finance, or DeFi, has introduced lending, borrowing, and other financial services on blockchain networks, sidestepping central banks and traditional intermediaries. If these trends continue, they could reduce the need for the dollar in some areas of global finance, especially among tech-savvy individuals and institutions seeking alternatives to traditional monetary system. Another important development is the idea of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. China has already launched a digital version of the yuan in several pilot programs, and many other countries are exploring similar projects. Should CBDCs gain widespread acceptance, people might no longer see the dollar as the only reliable medium of exchange, especially if digital infrastructure becomes a core aspect of global commerce. Despite the competition, the US economy continues to be one of the largest and most influential on the planet. It is highly diversified, technologically advanced, and boasts substantial natural resources. The United States also maintains a strong military, which indirectly supports the dollar by reinforcing political and economic stability. When turmoil strikes, investors often run to the dollar as a safe haven, because they trust the US government's ability to maintain order and protect economic interests. This psychological factor is powerful, and it's a big reason the dollar has stayed on top, even when faced with financial crises. Additionally, America's robust financial institutions and capital markets, like the New York Stock Exchange and the tech-heavy Nasdaq, draw global investors. These investors need US dollars to participate, which keeps demand for the currency high. Furthermore, many countries peg their own currencies to the dollar, further entrenching its position in the international financial system. Even when people in other countries criticize US policies or worry about inflation, they still often prefer to hold dollars when uncertainty looms. The US Federal Reserve plays a huge role in stabilizing the dollar. Through tools like setting interest rates and managing the money supply, the Fed aims to keep inflation under control and foster economic growth. Although critics argue about whether the Fed's policies always work as intended, it's clear that consistent and relatively transparent monetary policy has helped keep the dollar in good standing compared to currencies from less stable economies. Network effects also matter. The more people, businesses, and governments use the dollar, the more valuable it becomes. In global trade, commodities like oil are often priced in US dollars, a setup sometimes called the petrodollar system. This standardization means a trader in Europe, Asia, or anywhere else usually needs to use dollars to buy oil. As a result, the currency becomes ingrained in international commerce. Even if a rival currency tried to replace it, the transition wouldn't be quick, easy, or guaranteed to succeed. One problem the dollar faces is the US's rising debt and concerns about long-term inflation. When a country accumulates a massive national debt, investors might worry about that country's ability to repay it. If enough people lose confidence, the currency can weaken. Additionally, if inflation gets too high, each dollar buys less, and it may become less attractive to foreign investors or central banks. While the Fed and the US government have tools to manage these risks, they can't always control global events or guarantee that investor sentiment will remain positive. Another looming threat is the changing geopolitical environment. If the US's relationships with allies weaken, or if trade tensions escalate, other countries might move more decisively away from the dollar. We could see major partnerships form around alternative currencies or entirely new financial agreements. For instance, if a coalition of countries decided to adopt a digital currency for their trading alliance, that could weaken the dollar's hold on global markets. In one plausible future scenario, the dollar remains a key currency, but shares its top spot with multiple rivals, forming a sort of multipolar financial world. In another, digital currencies and government-issued digital currencies gain so much traction that the significance of national currencies, including the dollar, diminishes overall. It's also possible the dollar could weather every storm and remain the unbeatable heavyweight thanks to the enduring strength of U.S. economic and financial institutions. So, is the US dollar really on the verge of crashing and losing its global dominance? The answer isn't as simple as a yes or no. On one side, new and existing rivals like the euro, yen, yuan, and emerging digital currencies are chipping away at the dollar's once unquestioned throne. On the other side, the United States still offers unparalleled economic strength, political influence, and a deep, liquid financial market that keeps the dollar in high demand. Throw in network effects and long-standing habits, and the dollar isn't going away without a fight. Ultimately, it's not about whether the dollar suddenly collapses tomorrow, but about how the global financial ecosystem evolves. Big changes could happen over years or even decades, with new technologies and shifting political alliances playing a critical role. One thing is clear, the future of money is far from settled, and we could see remarkable transformations in how the world handles commerce, savings, and investments. As we wrap up, I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you see the US dollar holding its top spot due to America's economic strength? Or will new technologies and stronger currencies weaken the dollar's grip on global trade? Leave a comment to keep the conversation going. Tell me if you believe the dollar's reign is ending or will stand strong. Check out my other videos on economic trends and global finance. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing your insights.